So, as a talker, I'm always fundamentally interested in talking and listening and talking or not talking, and what the results of all that are, right? And I listen to a lot of people. I listen to a lot of people talk. I listen to a lot of people talk about how they talk to other people, because right, because like I go through something or someone I'm listening to, whether it's someone I coach or mentor or a friend, and in fact, like, you know, they something happens with them and another person, and then most of the time if they're women, and I am going to generalize, there's a lot of detail. They need to unload kind of what happened and rehash the conversation, right? So they're telling me a lot of the details that he said, she said, I said, he said. And it's interesting because, the most of the people that I'm working with are already aware of a need to control, to be in charge, to dictate to people, to try and fix people. And in fact, they're trying to stay away from that. But what's so interesting is you just the control thing. It's like these little nuances where like I can hear people talk and they're actually having healthy conversations, but they're still trying to like control. And what they're doing is they're talking at. And here's how I would define talking at versus talking to or with. Is that when you start talking at, you not only don't feel heard, but the other person starts to feel like you're controlling them. And if that person starts to feel like you're controlling them, their ego wall comes up. So then you're actually not talking with or to them at all. You're talking to that wall. And you can't really talk with or to a wall. You're just going to keep like talking at the wall. So anything that you're trying to say, whatever it is that you're trying to be heard about, is just landing flat or hitting that wall because you're talking at, because you're trying to be heard, or you're trying to say something, or you're trying to manage a situation, and then the other person, despite your best intentions, is feeling controlled or manipulated, or like you're talking like he's his, you're his mother or something, and then the ego goes up, and then it's like, she's trying to do this or he's trying to do that. And I'm actually kind of specifically talking right now about intimate heterosexual relationships. So, define the parameters of whatever the male, female, or he, she thing is that I'm talking about for your own sake, if you'd like. Um, and, it's really fundamentally interesting and amazing to me because I think everybody does it. I mean, I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. And it's really, 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 really difficult. It takes a lot of introspection and self-awareness training, if you will, or practice, to really understand the nuances of how much you really do that. I mean, it took me years to realize how much I did that. I'm like, I don't understand why this person's not hearing me. I don't know. I'm using like good language and vocabulary and I'm being really clear. And what was it? Well, it was an underlying motive of talking at somebody that I wasn't even clear that I had. Again, I was just trying to get my point across, use the right language. But then I recognized that I was talking to people either like they were not as smart as I was. I was talking to people like, and this is really a reality, I hate to say it, like I wanted to change them or like I didn't accept them, which more often than not makes people feel like they're not good enough. And again, I can go into the song and dance about whether or not I make people feel anything because I don't believe I do. But I also do believe that no man is an island. And so as we're talking, it's like I'm being myself, you're being yourself, and we're trying to figure out like, how the conversation fits and who we are and if we're going to dance together. And if I keep talking at you and I keep hitting this wall, you're not going to hear anything I have to say, and vice versa. Because once you feel like I'm just hitting a wall and your ego is up, there's just nothing's going to get in anyway, right? So what's the difference? I guess the difference is learning how to talk to, or learning how to talk with, or just even I have to say, at minimum, just learning to listen. Listen, it's really, I notice it's almost like painfully difficult sometimes. Like even I'm talking to someone this morning, just shooting the shit. And this guy's like, oh, bada bing, bada boom. And I found myself just taking a hike in my head and really being like, I don't even know what this person's saying right now. And then I'm like, bring it back, bring it back. Bring it back, Nicole. Like you're not somewhere else. You're right here with this person. Be here. Listen to what they're saying. If you don't find it interesting enough or you don't really want to listen to it in the long term, you can get up and excuse yourself. Like nobody's going to be harmed harmed by that. I feel like it's almost more harmful to stand there and listen to somebody while I'm just thinking about what I want to say next, or I don't really give a shit. I don't think that's really fair. So this whole idea of talking to or talking with is really interesting, and I think to me really it's something I need to look at a little bit more, a lot more. And I think I would love it if other people talking to me would also look at it a little bit more. But that's me trying to play God. You know how it is, You know how it is, once in a while you just got to throw that in there, that little element of like how I'd like to control everybody. See ya. I hope y'all have a good day. Thanks for listening.